Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to do the Great Wave at Kanagawa from 1829 by Katsushika Hokusai. Obviously that thing is a landscape-oriented painting, and I am going to be working in a portrait-oriented painting. So I don't know how this is going to work, but it'll be fun to see what happens all the same. So let's start by just throwing down some of the well, let's see. Let's start with doing the gray. This is going to be the lightest white I can get in this in this one. And we're just going to start blocking out things in a very rough manner, as I tend to do. So we'll add in over, let's say over to here. We're gonna add in the black part of the under part of the wave. Maybe it goes out to about there. So this way we kind of scale everything ahead of time, so I know exactly how proportional everything needs to be on the canvas. So we now need to add in the background here. So it'll be something like that, and then we need to reclaim like so some of that part. Luckily for me, this is a really cool suggestion because there is a lot of the right colors necessary to make this work. And by that I mean like almost every single color that I actually am going to need is given to me in this one. So we have this like gray part, and then we also have like this black part as well down towards the very, very bottom. That's roughly the background already. Like this is weirdly like already taking form. If you were to look at, I mean, I'm looking at the painting right now as a reference, but if you were to look at it, you'd kind of realize like, wow, it's actually like taking shape pretty quickly here. Okay, we need to round out the top a little bit. So we'll do something like that, and like that, like that. Okay. Let's see, we need to start adding in the blue again. So one thing that's kind of interesting, okay, so this is actually on this side, it's more of a, it's not, they don't have the gray part, they have this blue part here. So we'll do that. And this is kind of amazing. I have exactly the colors I need to do a reasonably faithful rendition of this piece. So we'll just, for proportion's sake, I'm going to put down these lines for right now. Obviously, I'm not going to keep them in the long run, but it'll be something that I can use to roughly guide the development of this piece as I go along. Just gonna add in a little bit of that blue. The light blue there to form some highlights, and I need to probably I guess I need to take the gray up. I'm gonna cheat a little bit compared to the actual painting here, and I'm gonna take the gray up a lot higher than it actually is so that it contrasts with the foamy color of the tidal wave itself. So we have something like that. And let's add in this part. I actually am going to take this down here as well. I'm going to cheat just a little bit on this one, just to make it so that the forms read a little bit better overall. And in fact, I'm also going to go ahead and probably reposition the boats a little bit, because the boats are a really cool part of the painting. And I would be kind of sad if I wasn't able to squeeze in a boat while I was working on this one. So let's continue with the blue part of the tidal wave. Something roughly like this. We're gonna keep this section of yellow. We're gonna keep that section of white in there. Okay, and like that. And let's add in a couple more streaks of the blue part. And we need to add in a lot more of the cyan colors to shade the sea foam, and we should be good to go. This, I have never really taken the time to look at this piece, but it is mad cool looking. Like, I've always known, like, oh yeah, this is a pretty cool looking work of art, but I've never really taken the time to study it. And what I find really compelling about this piece is the fact that there's so much vibrancy to it. It looks almost like larger than life, partly because it's like really heavily stylized, but also it just captures so much of the drama of the event that they were going for that I'm just I'm pretty mesmerized by this piece already. So let's see. That's kind of a fun part about working on this or playing this game, is that I get to look at a lot of cool works of art in a lot of depth and study them. And actually, you know, what's really kind of neat is that later on, I actually am learning like some pretty interesting lessons about how to compose art, because I get to look at some of the best compositions that have ever been made. So I get to look at these, and I actually get to learn a little bit for things that I would be taking seriously here. You know, I'm not just making MS Paint doodles. I mean, I am, but like when I'm making things that I actually care about, I don't. I get to take home some of the lessons that I've garnered by observing real famous works of art like this one. For this one in particular, it doesn't use a whole lot of colors, which I find really cool, and it happens to use the colors that are present in this game, but the fact that it just uses like such a small palette is something that I never really bothered to notice before. But there's really only like maybe, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like no more than 10 colors in this, and that's really neat to me because I have no idea how the hell they managed to make it so clean with that limitation. You know, it's not like they had vector art. They didn't have computers back then to sharpen everything up. This was presumably painted, I guess. Another thing I need to take a note of is I need to see if there's like black lines outlining this. Like, I don't know if any of this stuff is actually outlined in this painting or not. Let me see if I can get a good high-res picture that I can zoom in on. Ah, yes, there are. There is actually a outline around the tidal wave. So I'll try to do my best to faithfully create the effect of it, even though I'm not going to be able to get the right shape or the right thickness on it. So it's kind of like that. And then you have another overlap up here. And then it's just kind of like a lot of little overlaps, but I'm not going to spend too much time looking into them. So something like that. Cool. We need to add in similar overlaps along this part. And like that. Okay, now the way this is going to work is I'm going to make those much thinner, and that will get the effect across, and it'll actually look pretty cool that way. So we're just going to go back over the lines I did with its neighboring color. which is the only way I figured out so far on how to get like really, really razor thin lines in this game. So, but it's actually very effective. Like, it gets you, it bumps up the resolution, so to speak, that you have to work with in this game. I've also noticed that the game has gone quiet, which, if I remember correctly, means that I'm about to enter the next act. And I can think of like no less cool of a painting than this one to do it with. So we'll thin out these as well. Though I do think that it's kind of annoying, honestly, like the game getting dead silent when when it's about to go into another act, because it gets like a little bit I don't know, solipsistic, for lack of a better term. I mean, I already know I'm going to be spending like actually a pretty decent chunk of time working on this. I like to have a little bit of tunage. Of course, the tunes in this game are literally just like which I mean, considering I just did a Peter Griffin-esque doodle, this makes me think of like alright, let's add in more of this and that. Cool. We need to add in some of the overhangy foam parts, like this. Okay. And we need to add in I'm not going to actually copy this in too much detail, just something like that. And then like that. And then like that, and then that. Just a couple of hints at, you know, what the artist actually did in this painting. But most of this stuff is going to look much cooler just based off the fact that I'm going to put in a bunch of really thin lines that are going to make it just like absolutely pop. So we'll thin those out as much as I can. Yeah. Like so. And like so. We want to add in a little bit of we want to thin out this stuff too. I guess it kind of looks like a weird claw hand, the ocean, in this painting, which goes along. I'm sure that's completely intentional to make it look like this ghost or like claw that just is reaching out of the ocean to attack these boats. You know, very much into the drama of what's being conveyed by this one. Let's make that a little bit more uniform there. Okay, looking cool. We need to start reclaiming this part. And like so. Alright, let's start also thinning out the shadows, or the highlights that have been thrown into the mix here. Okay. We'll add in let's add in more highlights and then thin them out as we go along. What about along the top? Is there anything? No. Okay. So something like that, and something like that, and that. Okay, looking pretty cool. Let's see. What do I want to do next? We need to reshape these a little bit to be crisper. All right, and that's not a particularly accurate recreation of what this part looks like. I'm just going to let it. What am I trying to say? I'm gonna just give kind of the vague impression of it rather than try to actually recreate every last little overlapping foamy part here. So we'll do that, and we kind of want to take this up just a little bit more. And then maybe take that down over it. Yeah, there we go. It looks pretty okay. The crisper I can make these lines in this painting, the cooler it will look, because the more closely it will match the original material that I'm working with here. I guess another thing that I should do probably is something like that, because that will convey a little bit more of the overhangy, foamy parts. All right, looking pretty sassy. I don't want to spend too much more time going on every little thing, so this part's going to be a little bit more phoned in. But it'll be like pretty cool all the same, I think. So we'll just very quickly do a lot of these sections. I don't have we need to do something like that, I think, to do it. I was going to say, I don't have the ability to contrast it like I have up here, where I have this dark line against the light to really convey things, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but that's probably okay. That's this is, close enough to how the actual painting works, so if it worked in the actual painting, it'll probably work okay in this extraordinarily faithful reproduction here. Let's add in a couple just random highlights. Yep, that looks all right. And let's start adding in some deets on the boat. So we'll just probably use the let's use this line. Yeah, that's actually relatively close to the right colors. So it had a bunch of little compartments like that, and then like a line like so. Let's thin out those lines as much as I can. Sorry, I just got distracted. Ladybird had something incredibly important to show me, but you gotta focus up. Okay, so there's the boat in all of its crispy glory. We also want to add in a couple of white parts to highlight it a little bit. Okay. And let's start adding in the wavy bits on this part. We'll start with just throwing down a bunch of Trogdor V's. There we are. Nice consummate V's everywhere. Consummate. And thin them up. Wow, the lack of music is deafening in this game right now. You just feel like it just sucks all of the air out of the room to have no have no sound. Okay, now in the painting there is a line here. I'm going to make it as thin as I can, but it's the same color as the ocean. So what if I used this color for it? Yeah, that looks all right. It's interesting that we're given like ostensibly 6 colors of blue, but we only get 3 colors of every other color. So I guess they anticipated that people would mostly be painting blue things, which is, I don't know. I would imagine that it would have been perhaps more wise, I guess, to give us more of these like neutral colors, like these browns and these grays, if you really wanted to like give us a lot of diversity. But that's okay. The other thing is, it would have been kind of nice to have like muddier grays, because these are like true neutral grays, and those are not something that you use all that often when you're painting. You want to have grays that are made up of other colors, because that's more natural in a lot of ways. So like if I wanted a gray, I wouldn't just like grab my like black paint and then dilute it with some white paint to get a gray. What I would do is I would take two complementary colors and mix them together. So you get like if you mix, say, red and green, you get brown, basically. And if you mix blue and orange, you get like a really like kind of muddy gray color. And it ends up having a lot of subtlety and nuance to it, and it looks really cool. And you don't get that when you just have like a true neutral gray, which wasn't really derived from mixing and neutralizing colors. It just like doesn't have pigment, or what am I saying? It has just like different. It doesn't have like the variations of pigments that you get when you mix complement or primary colors together to get your neutrals. But oh well, you gotta. That's asking for a lot from a game that's not really about that sort of stuff. It's about making horrible monstrosities. I should watch what other people have done in this game to see how other people have fared with the limitations that are presented to you. And I've seen a little bit. I saw a review, and boy, people make some goddamn monstrosities in this game. Alright, now I need to add in the text. So we'll go ahead and throw down a little like rectangle in the upper left, and I need to add in some Japanese writing here. So we're gonna go with something like that, and something like that, and something like that. Okay, looking pretty badass. This was a very fun one to do. I think it came out looking actually quite pretty. And like I said, this was a good suggestion because I had exactly the correct colors to do a reasonably faithful reproduction of it. So this was actually a super fun one. I'm glad I did this one. This is a neat painting. Anyway, let's go ahead and sell this sucker off. God damn, it looks good from a distance too. And we're gonna call this one Ochin is scare. Looking pretty goddamn slick. Let's see if I get some dosh for it. Oh, this is the critic. That's right. Cool. So we're gonna enter the next act, I guess. We're gonna see if anyone's willing to buy it. Oh, here we go. Invitation. This letter regards an invitation to my castle. I am utmost impressed by your craftsmanship in the fine arts. Your piece, De Ochin is Scare, truly struck me with awe. The way you use dove gray warms my usually cold heart. You let this piece take the time it deserves, and it truly shows. I hereby invite you to my castle, where you will live in one of my towers. Declining could be seen as a criminal offense, or at least it would be a most cruel blow to your career. So I have a patron. Neat. I will accept the offer, naturally, but I want to sell this painting off first. Obviously somebody came by and gave me an offer, but I want to see if one of the like rich old ladies swings by to pick this one up. Of course, I'm also not going to wait around for forever either. If they don't show up, they don't show up, and I'll just sell it to one of the old bearded hipstery dudes. Haggle, sell, accept offer. All right, let's see what the next act has in store for me. Act 3. By royal decree. Huh. I wonder what time period this took place in, because if I'm in the castle and it's during like the Revolution days, that could probably be like the worst place I could wind myself up in. Oh wow! So not only do I have rent, wine, and baguettes, I have more expenses now of Merlot, lavish parties, and mini baguettes. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the game progresses from here. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this one. So thank you for watching.